Biggest fish I've ever caught was 8 pound 11, I think. And I remember that feeling. That was just not long after I first started fly fishing, probably within a couple of months. And I've been chasing a fish bigger than that ever since. That's the thing with fishing though here. You can have perfect weather conditions and lochs to fish, but you don't always catch. I think that's the excitement of always wanting to go fishing. Firstly, it's the excitement of catching a fish, and then if you catch a big fish, you get excited to try and catch a bigger one the next time. I've fished most of my life ever since I was a boy. When I was 10 years old, then I used to go down to the pier and catch Baltics and bits and pieces. But I'd always heard of fly fishing and never quite understood it. I thought it was a bit of a waste of time, really, sitting fishing the whole day and maybe not catching very much. But once you start with it, then it's very, very difficult to put it down. I was in the LHD shop about 11 years ago, and I saw this fly fishing kit, ready to go kit. So I thought I'll buy one and try it. I've never really looked back since. Fly fished predominantly ever since. Lochs all over Shetland. Nice to come back to a setup that I started with. And to be honest with you, it's the first time I've used it in about 8 or 9 years. And it's actually a super little rod and reel, a whole lot. Absolutely brilliant for beginners. And like I say, I've been fly fishing for 11 years, and it still feels good now. I'm stood on the shallow bit, and if you step down here, it goes down to this deep. Every loch sits on a different bed. Some are sandy lochs, some are stone lochs, and with a sandy bottom loch, then the fish are very golden and very light and pale, and then some of the hill lochs, they're all on peat, so the fish are very black. But when you turn up to a loch, then fish rising can suggest that there's stuff hatching, and if you can see flies on the surface here that are light coloured or dark coloured or orange or green, then you tend to try and match your fly to match the fly life that you see. So there's some nights you can be fishing and the trout jumping everywhere, and you can put on your whole box of flies and never catch a single fish, but they just hone into one particular thing. And that's very quiet in here as well. Although, see, that's a good sign, there's tyrricks moving over there. The tyrricks will feed on the flies that hatch as well. Loads of different factors to look at when you're fly fishing. Kind of keeps you more tuned into everything. You still get a lot of people from all over the country coming up just to fish Shetland. So remote, and the landscape is brilliant. And the fish, being the size they can get to as well, really helps. So definitely a place to come and fish if you're big into your fly fishing. When you're out in a loch like this as well, it's so peaceful. There's nothing, just the birds. And then a little dog running around back and forth. Then you've got some really small lochs that just, you don't think there's much in them, but there's always, usually trout in most of them, so it can be a whole day or a whole weekend out fishing. It is, it's tranquil, and it's just brilliant. You can walk out to a loch that you've never been to, and it doesn't really matter if you don't catch a fish on it. That's that.